Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here. Today I'd like to finally review for you The Male Hormone by Paul De Kruif. Today I'm going to go through a very detailed analysis and review of this book because it is such a controversial book and many people have asked me to read it and basically talk about it on this channel. So here we go. I have to admit that it has been long held as the proof that Silver Era bodybuilders were aware of the anabolic effect of testosterone in the late 1930s and early 1940s. And so I decided to buy this very rare book and read it for myself. I can tell you that not once is the sport of lifting at all, any sport of the iron game, being weightlifting, powerlifting, or bodybuilding, or even strongmen from the past, ever mentioned in this book at all, let alone athletes of any other sport, be it running or cycling or whatever. No athletic performance was ever discussed in this book in regards to testosterone administration at all. The book focuses entirely, I've read it from cover to cover, and it focuses entirely on restoring the health of broken men. And what I mean by that, the terms that describe broken men in this particular book have to do with hypogonadic men, that is, men with little testicles or almost non-existent testicles, also called eunuchoids, or castrated men from World War I and World War II. That is the major target audience, you could say, for the audience for this particular book. It is the administration of oral and injectable testosterone that is discussed in this book is actually targeted to these hypogonadic or castrated men, otherwise known as broken men. Now, when reading the cover, one could easily be fooled. You can see here, for example, a new hope for prolonging man's prime of life, or the male hormone discloses magic far beyond the merely sexual. It boosts muscle power. I mean, when I first saw the cover of this book, I thought, maybe, just maybe, these rumors about this book are true. But, I mean, when I read this book, I struggled to find any reference to bodybuilding whatsoever. It's just truly not targeted at all to, not even to bodybuilders, but not even to the normal man. This is only targeted to men that have no balls or are castrated. I hope you understand this. The book is actually organized into 5 chapters, which I'll now briefly talk about because I've made some detailed notes myself. And here they are. So let me just show you that and probably, yeah, there we go. And maybe even zoom it in for you. Part 1 is the growing old isn't natural. And really the book doesn't kick off until part 2, right? And I found part 2, of course, the most interesting, being a scientist myself, because it actually discovers the 3,000-year history of mankind trying to discover what the male hormone is, what the hormone that existed in the testicles. It is very, very obvious when we read this chapter that man has been aware of the sexual difference between man and woman, and that truly the idea of the testicles being, the reason why men are men, because there's something in there that was produced, which we now know is testosterone, and that makes men men. That's what part 2 is all about, and it's all about the people such as the the scientist, or some people call madman, that was behind the Brown-Séquard experiments. Right? I think he was this Frenchman who injected himself with extracts of testicle extracts from different animals. And I kind of have a little bit of resentment to some of the videos that are on the internet that talk about this book and about the Brown-Séquard experiments, and basically one particular channel which talks about how bodybuilding has never truly been a natural sport. I completely disagree with that. I mean, these people that have made those videos have never done any proper research, and it's kind of upsetting because these videos have had thousands, if not millions of views. I don't know, but people just kind of quote these videos on YouTube like as if they were dogma, you know. And these people that have not done any research and probably just looked at a forum or some silly web page and never actually picked up a book to actually read what these books are about, making statements such as the male hormone being, you know, proof that silver era bodybuilders use testosterone, is absolute rubbish. When you look then at the end of part 2, it talks about finally the discovery of testosterone after many years of scientists being actually ridiculed looking for the magical hormone in the testicle. Finally, the book really hits home to me who the target audience is, and it is this, the broken men, because the chapter clearly describes it, the rescue of broken men. Yes, the rescue of broken men. It discusses all these different experiments that are performed on castrated men and on unicoidal men, that is hypogonadic men. And it even talks about men that are depressed, melancholic, men with cardiovascular issues as well, and even cancerous patients. So I've actually done a video on testosterone, on the history of testosterone in the past, but this book just really cements everything I said in the past, that testosterone was administered to sick people. People that really needed testosterone were hypogonadic men, castrated men, and people with depression or cardiovascular disease or even cancer. That's what it was used back then. There is no ever, I mean, even this next chapter, Testosterone the Builder, actually talks about how testosterone is useful for people that are sick. Again, it's all got to do with the context of people that are sick, right? These are diseased people. For example, in Testosterone the Builder, many people would think, oh, hang on, here is a chapter on testosterone being a bodybuilder. No. It does mention, and I have to admit, the most controversial statement in the whole book is testosterone is a bodybuilder, synthesizes protein, and builds muscle. But again, this is in the context only of patients that are sick. That's what it actually ends up. That paragraph that states this ends up stating that all of these things were found in sick people, in hypogonadic men, in castrated men, not in the normal person. These actual experiments from the 30s and 40s were not even performed on normal men. These were all performed, mostly at least from what I understand, performed on sick men, on castrated men. And so, you know, Testosterone the Builder also talks about testosterone's ability to help with people that have pectoris angina, which is a very painful disease as well. And so I really fail to find a connection between this book and bodybuilding or the iron game in general. Yeah, in short, all I can state is that, in my opinion, I couldn't envisage a physical culturist or bodybuilder from the silver era walking around with this pocket-sized book. I mean, it's pocket size is a size of your hand, so you can slip it in your pocket. I couldn't envisage a physical culturist or bodybuilder walking around with this book in their pockets, as so many people have suggested. Oh, they carried this book around like as if it was a Bible. No. Imagine, for example, that you were Steve Reeves or Reg Park, and you were caught with this book in your pocket, which is targeted to men with no balls, or, you know, castrated, or men with tiny balls that couldn't keep an erection up, because that's what this book discusses. Imagine you were Reeves or Park and caught with a little pocket guide of how to keep your balls bigger and your erections up. I mean, you would be made an absolute laughing stock. And so I'm sure that if any silver era bodybuilder would have been caught with this book, it would have been reported. And so no, I don't believe that this book is proof at all, or that it suggests that silver era bodybuilders knew about testosterone for bodybuilding purposes. Not at all, because they were not the target audience, and neither were athletes, right? This is targeted again, to broken men. Men with no balls, and men that can't keep an erection up, men that are castrated, right? These are failures of men, right? And I still hold to the fact that in Eastern Europe, testosterone was being used and experimented with in the mid to late 40s, as has been reported through many, many sources. And that testosterone, finally it was introduced as well as steroids to the US in the mid to late 50s. This is also reported and validated. Those are the earliest known records of testosterone and steroid use. And to obtain testosterone, by the way, in the late 30s and early 40s was very, very expensive. I mean, it already took, basically half a decade for people to actually discover it and synthesize it. And only when it actually got cheaper and introduced as a form of methyl testosterone, it was found to be very hepatotoxic. So I'm pretty sure that many physical cultures back then would, it would raise suspicion if they had no balls or would risk themselves to get liver disease. It doesn't make any sense. But this is just my opinion. This is just my opinion. And I'm giving my opinion and my review finally having read this book. Unlike others that simply choose to get on the web and quickly look at a forum, I've actually gone through the effort of going through this book for you. And now you have the answer. The Male Hormone by Paul De Kruif does not talk about testosterone in the use of any athletic endeavor, let alone bodybuilding. It is targeted to men with no balls, to men with no testosterone capabilities whatsoever, that can't keep an erection, that can't please their woman. It's targeted to broken men. And so I do not think that this is proof that Silver Era bodybuilders would have used testosterone. Yes, testosterone would have been circulated around in regards to the information, the knowledge of it. But if you were caught talking about testosterone, I'm pretty sure that people would have been asking back then, well, why are you asking about testosterone? Do you have no balls? Basically, that's what it's saying, right? And so, no, I don't believe that Silver Era bodybuilders would have used testosterone back then, at least in the 30s or 40s. Hope you've enjoyed my review on The Male Hormone by Paul De Kruif. I believe it's the first review on the internet. If you have, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't to the Golden Era Bookworm. Leave me your comments, and thank you for watching. If you'd like to support my research, please donate via PayPal, become a patron, or visit my website, www.goldenerabookworm.com, for out of print courses and books on old school bodybuilding. And finally, you can also get in touch with me, goldenerabookworm@gmail.com, if you wish to pass on your books and courses, which I always add to my collection. Thanks again for your time. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the review once again. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now.